Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to mindforcombat. If you're new to the platform, my name's Jorge, and today I'm going to give you my post-fight thoughts on UFC 239. Right, I don't really know where to start on this one. The card from start to finish was just absolutely insane, and it's one of the most craziest cards I've ever stayed up for. So last night we was treated to a real crazy night of fight, so let's get into it. Opening up the main card, we have Michael Chiesa making a second welterweight appearance against Diego Sanchez. Now, coming into this fight, whilst obviously traditional convention will tell you Michael Chiesa should be probably getting the win, I felt like Michael Chiesa's stand-up's a bit suspect, and I don't feel like I didn't feel like Diego Sanchez is washed up to the point where he's going to be able to get easily taken down. And I felt like Diego Sanchez would be able to keep it on the feet and maybe land some shots and be, if not win, make it competitive, more competitive. Because he had seemed to have like a little bit of a recent resurgence. But no, that's not how it played out. Michael Chiesa absolutely manhandled him, mauled him. And this to me was much more impressive than his win over Carlos Condit. Because Carlos Condit, for better or for worse, as much as I love Condit, he's the version of Carlos Condit that Chiesa beat in 2018 is just absolutely completely washed in my opinion. And moving on, I would like to see Michael Chiesa take on someone like Damian Maia, who's also won 2 fights in a row, and just he fought like a week ago, so the time it syncs up, and both their styles, that grappling styles, will make for a really interesting fight for me. And I think Michael Chiesa versus Damian Maia is the most logical fight to make next. Moving on, we had Luke Rockhold's debut at 205 pounds, and he was fighting a staple in the UFC's 205 division of the last 5 years in Jan Blachowicz. Now, Luke Rockhold coming up had some lofty expectations on his shoulder. When you was looking at the main event, you had Thiago Santos, who was a middleweight as well, but nowhere to the caliber that Luke Rockhold was. You had Anthony Smith, who was a middleweight as well, who's had success, fought for a world title, but nowhere to the caliber that Luke Rockhold was. So coming into this fight against Jan Blachowicz, you had to think to yourself, well, you know what? Luke Rockhold can shine. He looked healthy. He looked thick. He looked in great shape. This was his first fight since the Yoel Romero fight. So even though he had been knocked out twice in his last 3 fights, coming in this fight, he had a sufficient amount of time off. There was a thought process that maybe the rehydration will make him a better fight. And he came out and he looked good. He was throwing some good kicks, but the issues with Luke coming into this fight and like that played out with the same issues that there always was. His boxing defense seems to be terrible. He gets caught a lot in the head. Just general shots towards the head, punches and elbows seem to catch him a lot. And Jan Blachowicz being a good striker. Actually, I was confused when Joe Rogan was when Luke Rockhold shot for the takedown, and Joe Rogan was like, "Oh, this is where Jan Blachowicz shines." I don't disagree. I don't agree. I believe Jan Blachowicz shines more on the feet than he does on the ground. And I feel like his body of work demonstrates that. So that kind of threw me off. But anyways, Jan was able to stay the course, stay calm, and that head kick at the end of the round 1 was definitely instrumental, because after that, Luke was never the same to me. And Jan Blachowicz was able to take advantage of it, get that beautiful finishing combination, and kind of plant himself and show everyone, hey guys, I'm still here. Don't you forget about me. So Jan Blachowicz at 36 years old looked great. And for him, I would like to see him go forward and fight Anthony Smith. And if I'm honest with you, I think for Luke Rockhold, he's been knocked out brutally 3 times in his last 4 fights. That's spanning 2 weight classes over the course of the last 4 years, well, 3 years. And he's probably going to have a lengthy time off from the ring now. He's 34 years old, and he's obviously not materialized into the fighter that we thought we was going to see. And I would like to see Luke think about this and face some harsh realities of the fight game and really consider if he wants to keep doing this anymore, because he's obviously not top echelon at 205. He's not top echelon at 185. He can't make 185 no more. So what does Luke want from this? And that's the question that Luke's got to answer. But if I was Luke's close and personal friend, I would be telling him, bro, consider what you're doing now, and maybe it's time to look at other ventures for you to make a living. And he's got options, you know what I mean? He's obviously got his modelling career. He's a good-looking man. That could work out for him. So, yeah, there's that. Now, going into the next fight was one of the fights that we was most excited about. And I suppose speaking about the pre-fight stuff is most relevant, because there weren't really during fight stuff to talk about. Coming into the fight, I thought, well, Damian Maia was able to implement his wrestling game and grappling game on George Masvidal. Ben Askren being bigger, stronger, better wrestler than Damian Maia should be able to beat George Masvidal. But if MMA was so predictable, we wouldn't love MMA. If I could get every prediction right, I wouldn't bother watching MMA. And it also showed, well, generally I believe this card showed that I've got a steep learning curve to do before I'm able to sit here and call myself a guru, but I don't pretend to be, and I'll never portray to be one myself. I'm just a guy who loves MMA, boxing. I've followed it for a long time, and I believe I've got a vast amount of knowledge in the area, and I like interacting with you guys. And boy, what I was expecting is not what played out. Ben Askren came out there, got brutally flying knee KO'd by George Masvidal. And I'm a huge Masvidal fan. I'm a much bigger Masvidal fan than I'm a Ben Askren fan. Being a big Masvidal fan since his fights when he was fighting Paul Daly, and even before that when he was fighting Toby Amado and Bellator. When he was, that was a fight that broke my heart when he got choked out in that inverted triangle by Toby Amado. And so I've known and been following George Masvidal for a long period of time, and I just felt like if Damian Maia was able to out-grapple George Masvidal, then Ben Askren can. That's not how it played out. He ran out there brutally, came out with that flying knee KO, and George Masvidal's looked completely rejuvenated since he's come back at 34 years old. He's 34 years young. And finishing Darren Till in the second round the way he did, finishing Ben Askren in the fastest KO in UFC history. And I know he was coming off an extended layoff and 2 losses before these 2 wins, but in my opinion, he should be fighting for the belt next. I know Colby Covington's in the mix, and I believe that Colby Covington should get a title shot. It's unfair that he's not gotten a title shot, but he's going to have his fight with Robbie Lawler play out, so maybe the timing's in the favour here, because if Colby Covington fights Robbie Lawler, George Masvidal fights Kamaru Usman in the meantime, maybe there's not a long wait for Colby Covington if he can get past Lawler before he gets matched up again for the title, because he's going to fight Lawler anyway, so maybe fight Lawler and then fight the winner of Masvidal versus Usman. And Masvidal's already said he'll be down to fight Colby even though he's friends, so why not? Makes sense to me, and I believe that, I would love to see Masvidal in title fight, and I'd love to see him get the W. And actually, quite interestingly, I feel like he had the tools to get the win there, particularly based on what I've seen recently. And he's just a bad dude. So for everyone that I was disagreeing with about Masvidal versus Askren, I ate my words. So you got me. You're right. You told me so. Every single one of you told me so. Anyways, moving on to the co-main event, Amanda Nunes solidified. Just quickly, Ben Askren. What should Ben Askren do next? Well, Ben Askren's got to really think about what he's going to want to do next. And I believe there's some key and fun fights to be had here. Maybe the Robbie Lawler rematch if Kamaru Usman, if Colby Covington gets past Robbie Lawler, that could be fun. Even guys like Santiago Ponzinibbio are about. Darren Till, him and Darren Till had a lot of back and forth. Darren Till's also been knocked out by George Masvidal, so maybe they can collide. I personally would like that option right there, and hopefully that's the one that plays out. Anyways, moving on to Amanda Nunes solidifying her place as the women's greatest of all time by KOing Holly Holm in the first round via a head kick. Now, there's nothing to be said about Amanda Nunes, or that I can say about Amanda Nunes that hasn't been said already. Amanda Nunes is absolutely exceptional, and she has absolutely cleared out her division, went up, KO'd Cyborg, and I'm blown away by her. So there's not really much to touch on here. She looked great out there. Holly Holm did look like she was calm, poised, and ready to fight, but she just didn't have the tools necessary to be able to deal with the Lioness. And Amanda Nunes was able to do what she'd done. I think going forward, Amanda Nunes probably is going to look to defend her 145-pound belt. That's what she said she wants to do. I think she had a hard weight cut. So if Cyborg can get past Felicia Spencer, which I'm predicting that she will do, then I think the fight between Cyborg and Nunes can be run back, and hopefully Cyborg can be a lot more poised, calm, technical, and we can settle this fight properly. I mean, it was settled properly last time, but we can do it again, and maybe Cyborg can fight a bit more technically and not get into a brawl and get sparked out by one of the most devastating strikers in all of MMA of all time. For Holly Holm, she's now 2-5 in her last 7 fights. She's got knocked out now. She's lost a title fight to Cyborg at 145. She lost a title fight to Jermaine Durandamy at 145. She lost her belt to Miesha Tate. So that's 3 straight title losses that she's coming off. 0-3 in her most recent title fights. 2-5 overall. She's 1-2 in her last 3. And you got to think about the fact that she's 37 years old. This was her first fight in about a year. And her most recent wins haven't even been that impressive. It's Bethe Correia and Megan Anderson, who I respect as fighters, but I wouldn't consider them the best in the world by any stretch of the imagination. So you got to think about what's Holly Holm's motivations here. I believe if Amanda Nunes goes up, defends her 145-pound belt, what Holly Holm should do is likely fight the loser of the Jermaine Durandamy versus Aspen Ladd fight. I think that's a fight that makes sense in the divisional standout of things. And for Holly Holm to get another title fight, I want her to win at least 3 or 4 fights to be able to prove that she's still got skills that are relevant in the title picture overall, and just not based off name value, despite how much we love Holly Holm. Anyways, going into the main event, it's a fight that absolutely blew my expectations, and I know fans were booing during this fight, but it kind of breaks my brain that they were booing, because I don't see a need to boo in this fight. Thiago Santos is a bad man. He came out there and he was fighting, I mean, if you take drug tests out of this, the greatest fighter of all time in John Jones, and he had no fear in his mode. John Jones is a guy who absolutely mauls people. He doesn't even make it competitive. He beats people where they're strongest. And Thiago Santos came out there, kicked him in the leg. From that first leg kick, you had to think to yourself, woo, we may be in a fight here. And that's what happened. John Jones was in a fight. He had that big like hematoma on his right shin. The inside of his left thigh was all eaten up. He couldn't even walk when he left the cage. And let's look at this fight real quick. When you think about the fight, I gave round 1 to Thiago Santos. Round 2 I felt like was Thiago Santos's. Round 3 and 4 I gave to Jones, and round 5 I felt like Santos should have got. So in my opinion, now I haven't rewatched the fight, so I might be wrong here, and I might have just been caught up in the moment. I'm willing to accept that. I'm going to go out on a limb here, but I felt like Thiago Santos should have won that fight. But I'm gonna rewatch it, and then I'll make another decision on that one. So that's not what I officially thought, but Bones Jones did show some great stuff. He showed he's a warrior. He showed that even though his legs are gone, he can come out here and fight like an animal. He's just a bad man. It surprised me that he didn't go for a takedown. Now, although I would like to see an immediate rematch next, I don't think it will play out next, because Dana White said there's no need for it. And you know, like I suppose there's other fights. Now, this really intrigues me for the Johnny Walker fight. If Johnny Walker can get 1 or 2 more wins, Johnny Walker, who I deem as being a bit better, bigger version of Thiago Santos, a bit younger as well, Johnny Walker could be an interesting prospect for the future and a real contender for John Jones. And now the division's looking exciting to me again. For Thiago Santos, he's going to rebuild, but I don't believe he should need more than a win or 2 to get himself another title shot, because he's done so well. When you look at the top of the division, you got to think about, well, who's he going to be fighting? I feel like a fight with Corey Anderson makes sense. A fight with him and Corey Anderson for a potential title fight afterwards could make sense. If Johnny Walker's matched up with Corey Anderson instead, then I would like to see Dominic Reyes versus Thiago Santos for a title shot as well. So he's got a couple of options depending on what happens with Corey Anderson. If Corey Anderson gets matched up with Johnny Walker, which probably makes sense, then you should probably do Thiago Santos versus Dominic Reyes in a main event. That would be a great fight, great striking matchup, and it's one that I would really like to see. Anyways, guys, that's some of my thoughts on what happened last night. Why don't you comment below down and let me know what your thoughts were on last night, and go easy on me. I got a lot of things wrong last night, but it's not the first time I've been wrong, and it won't be the last. Thank you for watching, guys. Mindful Combat.